The Discovery. Senior archivist Telix floated silently before the central database terminal, his crystalline body refracting the soft blue light of the massive information core. The Galactic Archival System was the pride of the consortium, containing records of every known celestial body, species, and historical event across the explored universe. As chief curator of Xenospecies classification, Telix had spent 3 centuries cataloging and organizing information about the various life forms that populated the cosmos. Today, however, something unusual had caught his attention. Terminal. Display classification parameters for Sol-3, local designation Earth, Telix commanded, his voice like chimes in the wind. The holographic display flickered before expanding into a 3-dimensional representation of a blue-green planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. What was remarkable, however, was the pulsing red border surrounding the display, a warning indicator Telix had rarely encountered in his long career. Classification. Extreme danger. Approach restriction. Absolute. Rating. Don't even think about it, the terminal's soft voice announced. Telix's crystalline form vibrated with confusion. The don't even think about it classification was theoretical. He'd never seen it actually applied. It was reserved for cosmic threats like unstable black holes or planets harboring reality-altering anomalies. Terminal. Explain classification reasoning for Sol-3, Telix requested. Information restricted. Authorization level insufficient. This was even more puzzling. Telix's clearance granted him access to nearly all data within the archive. Only the most sensitive information, matters of consortium security, remained beyond his reach. Override. Telix Prime, Archive Authority Theta 9. A pause. Override insufficient. Classification authorized by Galactic Security Council. Full security clearance required. Telix's form dimmed slightly as he processed this information. The Security Council rarely involved themselves in planetary classifications. Whatever lurked on Earth had drawn the attention of the highest authorities in the galaxy. His curiosity was now fully piqued. The archives were quiet at this late hour, most of the staff having returned to their habitation chambers. Telix glided silently through the crystalline corridors until he reached the restricted historical records section. As chief curator, he possessed one of the few access keys to this repository of the galaxy's most troubling events. Authentication. Telix Prime, Theta 9. He announced to the sealed doorway, which shimmered briefly before dissolving. Inside, data crystals lined the walls, each containing records deemed too sensitive for general access. Telix moved to the search terminal in the center of the room. Query. All historical records concerning Sol-3, designation Earth. The system hummed to life, scanning through millions of records before projecting a list of data crystals onto the terminal. Telix was surprised by the quantity, over 30 separate entries, dating back thousands of years. He selected the earliest. A 3-dimensional projection materialized, showing the elegant ships of the Zithran Empire, once the dominant force in the galactic south. The date stamp indicated this record was nearly 15,000 years old. Zithran Exploration Fleet, Mission Log 37,299, announced a melodious voice. Commander Vox Full reporting. We have discovered a promising world rich in resources and inhabited by primitive bipedal creatures. Initial assessment indicates minimal resistance to resource extraction. Beginning planetary approach. The log jumped forward several days. Emergency transmission. The primitives have. They've adapted our weapons. Impossible. They've turned our own technology against us. Half the fleet destroyed. These creatures, these humans, they learned too quickly. Retreat authorized. Quarantine recommended. Telix paused the playback, his crystalline form vibrating with surprise. The Zithrans had been technologically advanced even by modern standards. Their downfall had always been shrouded in mystery. The official records merely stated they had encountered a superior force and subsequently declined. He selected another crystal, this one from the Morax Collective, a hive mind species known for their ruthless efficiency. The timestamp showed this record was from approximately 8,000 years ago. Collective Expansion Initiative 9982. Target: Sol 3. Resource value: exceptional. Indigenous species: primitive but numerous. Colonization protocol initiated. The next entry was dated merely 3 Earth months later. Evacuation order: primary high ships compromised. Indigenous species demonstrated unprecedented adaptive capabilities. They have infected our neural network with chaos, unpredictable thought patterns. The collective is fragmenting. Retreat from Sol system authorized. Warning to all hive clusters: avoid Sol 3 at all costs. Telix worked through more records, each telling a similar tale. The mighty Drelvan Armada had lost 200 warships to primitive humans, wielding hastily reverse-engineered weapons. The Orion Scientific Consortium's observation post had been discovered, infiltrated, and its technology stolen despite being cloaked with their most advanced stealth systems. The pattern was clear and deeply disturbing. Earth wasn't home to reality warping anomalies or unstable physics. The danger was the humans themselves. Telix spent the next several cycles compiling and analyzing the data. The picture that emerged was of a species defined by paradoxes. Technologically primitive, yet capable of adapting advanced technology with frightening speed. Physically unremarkable, but possessing seemingly limitless endurance. Fragmented into thousands of competing social groups, yet able to unite instantly against external threats. Most concerning of all, they never stopped. Where other species might surrender when faced with superior technology or overwhelming force, humans simply adapted, regrouped, and counterattacked. Fascinating, Telix murmured as he reviewed footage of humans surviving in environments that would kill most species, from frozen wastelands to scorching deserts. Their adaptability is unprecedented. He knew he should report his unauthorized research immediately. The "don't even think about it" classification existed for a reason, and his investigation was technically a violation of consortium law. Yet the scientist in him couldn't let go of such a compelling mystery. Late that evening, Telix sent encoded messages to 3 colleagues he trusted implicitly. Vexer, a propulsion systems engineer known for his unconventional thinking. Neri, a xenobiologist specializing in evolutionary patterns. And Krell, a security systems analyst with a talent for accessing restricted data. "I've encountered something extraordinary," his message read. "Meet me in private lab section Omega 12 tomorrow. What I have to show you may change our understanding of life in the universe." The following day, Telix presented his findings to his stunned colleagues. "This cannot be accurate," Neri protested, her amorphous form rippling with agitation. "No species could advance so quickly. It defies all evolutionary models." "Yet the historical evidence is consistent," Telix replied. "Every civilization that has contacted Earth has either retreated with heavy losses or disappeared entirely." "What's most remarkable," Krell noted, his insectoid eyes flashing as he reviewed the data, "is that humans achieved this despite their internal conflicts. They spend most of their history fighting each other, yet unite instantly against external threats. The question," Vexer interjected, "is why the consortium is hiding this information. A dangerous species, certainly, but one that remains confined to a single planetary system poses little threat to galactic stability. Unless," Telix suggested, "they believe humans won't remain confined for long." A heavy silence fell over the group as they contemplated the implications. "We need more data," Neri finally said. "These records are thousands of years old. Perhaps modern humans have changed, become less adaptive. Or perhaps they've grown even more dangerous," Krell countered. "Their technology has certainly advanced since these encounters." "There's only one way to find out," Telix said. "We need current observations." "You can't be serious." Vexar's mechanical limbs clicked nervously. "The classification explicitly forbids any approach to Earth." "Not a physical approach," Telix clarified. But what about remote observation? The new quantum-linked probes operate across vast distances. We could deploy one near the edge of the Sol system, far enough to avoid detection, but close enough to gather data. If we're discovered, Neri began. Our careers would be over. Krell finished for her. Possibly worse, depending on how seriously the Security Council takes the breach. Telix's crystalline form glowed with determination. I understand the risks. I'll take full responsibility. But as scientists, how can we ignore such an extraordinary species? Think of what we might learn about adaptation, survival, innovation. The benefits to the consortium could be immeasurable. One by one, his colleagues agreed. They would observe Earth, secretly and carefully, to learn what made humans uniquely dangerous in a galaxy of fearsome species. None of them realized they were about to rediscover exactly why Earth's classification read. Don't even think about it. The observation. 2 cycles later, the clandestine research team gathered in Vexor's private laboratory aboard the scientific vessel Boundless Inquiry. The ship was officially conducting gravitational anomaly studies in a remote sector, providing perfect cover for their unauthorized mission. Quantum probe ready for deployment, Vexor announced, his mechanical appendages manipulating the sleek, silver device barely larger than Telix's crystalline hand. I've enhanced its observational capabilities and cloaking system beyond standard specifications. The modifications are remarkable. Telix observed, examining the probe. Detection should be impossible for a pre-FTL civilization. Krell chittered nervously, his insectoid mandibles clicking. Let's not underestimate these humans. Every species that has done so has regretted it. The probe will maintain position at the edge of the Kuiper belt. Vexor continued. Far enough to avoid detection, close enough for detailed observation. Quantum entanglement will allow real-time data transmission without detectable signals. What about the observation parameters? Neri asked, her amorphous form rippling with excitement. What specifically are we looking for? Everything, Telix replied. Social structures, technology, biology, warfare, art, anything that might explain their unprecedented adaptability and resistance to conquest. With final adjustments complete, Vexor activated the launch sequence. The probe disappeared with a soft hum, transmitted instantly to the edge of the Sol system via quantum displacement. Connection established, Vexor confirmed. Data streaming now. The laboratory's holographic display came alive with images of the blue-green world that had confounded galactic powers for millennia. The team watched in silence as the probe's advanced sensors penetrated Earth's atmosphere, revealing the planet's surface in extraordinary detail. Incredible diversity, Neri murmured, watching humans thrive in environments ranging from frozen tundras to scorching deserts. Most species evolved to specialize in specific environments. Humans have adapted to survive virtually anywhere. Look at their cities, Krell noted. Primitive by our standards, yet remarkably complex. And their number, nearly 8 billion individuals. Their technology is advancing at an accelerating rate, Vexor observed, analyzing the probe's data. Early records show thousands of years between major technological breakthroughs. Now they're achieving comparable advances in decades, sometimes years. For days, the team observed humanity with growing fascination. They watched humans rebuild entire cities destroyed by natural disasters, create art that conveyed complex emotions across cultural boundaries, wage devastating wars, and then forge peace from the ruins. Their societies are chaotic, fractured into hundreds of competing political entities, Krell observed. Yet they collaborate on global initiatives despite these divisions. Paradoxical. Perhaps that's their strength, Telix suggested. The constant competition drives innovation, while their shared biology provides the foundation for cooperation when necessary. On the 5th day of observation, something unexpected happened. The probe's data stream showed a flurry of activity at several major human scientific facilities. What's happening? Telix asked, alarmed by the sudden change. Krell analyzed the incoming data, his compound eyes widening. They're scanning the outer solar system with considerable precision, almost as if they're looking for something. Impossible, Vexor protested. The probe's quantum displacement field is impenetrable. No pre-FTL civilization could detect its presence. Yet they're looking exactly where our probe is positioned, Neri pointed out, her form pulsing with anxiety. The data stream showed more activity: satellite repositioning, radio telescope arrays refocusing, space-based observatories adjusting their instruments. Perhaps it's coincidence, Telix suggested, though his crystalline form had dimmed with concern. A scheduled astronomical survey. No, Krell said firmly. The pattern is too specific, too focused. They know something is there. They may not know what, but they've detected an anomaly. We should recall the probe, Neri urged, now, before they can gather more data. Wait, Telix countered. This is precisely what makes humans so fascinating. If they've somehow detected our probe despite its advanced cloaking, we need to understand how. The debate was interrupted by an urgent communication from the ship's bridge. Professor Telix, came the captain's voice. We've received an emergency transmission from Consortium Command. All vessels are ordered to avoid the Sol sector immediately. Recent scans have detected unusual activity around the third planet. The team exchanged alarmed glances. Their unauthorized observation had been noticed, not just by humans, but by Consortium authorities. Acknowledged, Captain, Telix responded calmly. We're well clear of that sector. When the communication ended, Krell turned to Telix. We need to terminate this experiment immediately. If Command is issuing sector-wide warnings, the situation is escalating. Before anyone could respond, Vexor emitted a mechanical gasp. The probe, its quantum link, is being probed. Something is attempting to trace the connection. Impossible, Neri exclaimed. Quantum entanglement doesn't leave a trace signature. Tell that to the humans. Krell chittered nervously. They're tracing it somehow. Crude methods, but persistent. The laboratory fell silent as they watched the probe's data stream. Human activity was intensifying. Military vessels were being deployed to the outer solar system. Scientific facilities worldwide were operating at maximum capacity, and global communications showed a planet uniting in response to a potential extraterrestrial presence. Terminate the connection, Telix ordered. Recall the probe now. Vexor moved to comply, but hesitated. I can't. Something is interfering with the quantum link. The probe isn't responding to recall commands. What? That's technologically impossible. Telix's crystalline form pulsed with alarm. The humans have locked onto the quantum signature somehow, Vexor explained, his mechanical limbs working frantically across the controls. They're not blocking our commands, exactly, but they're creating enough interference to prevent clean transmission. How could a pre-FTL species possibly understand quantum entanglement, let alone manipulate it? Neri wondered, her form rippling with distress. They don't need to understand it, Krell realized. They just need to detect the effect and disrupt it. Like a primitive species might not understand electricity but could still destroy a power generator. Self-destruct sequence, Telix ordered. Activate the probe's emergency dissolution protocol. Vexor sent the command repeatedly, but the probe remained operational. No response. The interference is too strong. A new alert sounded from the communication system. Incoming transmission, Krell announced. It's coming through the probe's quantum link. That should be technologically impossible, Telix whispered. The laboratory speakers crackled to life, and a human voice, translated by the ship's systems, filled the room. To the observers beyond our solar system, we have detected your device and traced its quantum connection. We are now establishing communication. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations. The research team stared at each other in shock. Humans hadn't merely detected their probe. They'd hijacked its systems and established direct contact. We should not respond, Krell advised urgently. Any engagement violates the highest security protocols. It's too late, Vexor replied. The quantum link remains active. They can trace it back to our location. Before they could decide on a course of action, the laboratory door slid open. Mira, a junior researcher on Vexor's staff, entered with an expression of determination. I sent a response to the humans, she announced. You what? Telex's crystalline form flashed with alarm. I've studied Earth for years in secret, Mira explained. They're not the monsters our records portray. They're curious, creative, like us. This could be the greatest opportunity for cultural exchange in consortium history. You've doomed us all, Krell chittered in panic. Don't you understand? There's a reason Earth is classified. Don't even think about it. The classification is based on fear, not understanding, Mira countered. I've arranged to visit Earth as an ambassador. A human delegation is preparing to receive me. This is treason against the consortium, Telex warned. The Security Council will. The Security Council has kept us isolated from a species that could be our greatest allies, Mira interrupted. I sent them our location. A human vessel is already on its way. As if on cue, the ship's alert system blared. Unidentified craft approaching at high velocity, announced the captain's voice over the ship-wide communication system. All personnel to emergency stations. The team rushed to the nearest viewport. In the distance, a crude but unmistakable spacecraft was approaching. A human vessel, somehow capable of traveling faster than their technology should allow. They've reverse-engineered FTL travel from just the quantum signature of our probe, Vexor whispered, mechanical limbs trembling in awe. In days, not years or centuries. How is this possible? This is why Earth is classified as it is, Telex realized. Not because humans are inherently dangerous, but because their rate of adaptation is terrifying. As the human ship drew closer, the team understood fully what the ancient records had tried to warn. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their biology. It was their relentless drive to overcome any challenge, no matter how impossible it seemed. The consortium's worst fear was becoming reality. Humanity had taken its first step into the galactic community, not through careful diplomatic channels, but by force of will and ingenuity that defied all scientific understanding. And the galaxy would never be the same. The encounter. The boundless inquiry trembled as the human vessel established a docking connection. Despite being cobbled together from what appeared to be primitive materials, the ship had somehow matched the consortium vessel's complex docking protocols perfectly. How did they decipher our systems so quickly? Vexor wondered, his mechanical appendages clicking with nervous energy. The same way they detected and hijacked our quantum probe, Telex replied. Observation, analysis, adaptation. At speeds we've never encountered in any species. Captain Jorax, the Boundless Inquiry's commander, entered the laboratory with a security detail close behind. His rock-like features were set in an expression of barely contained fury. Would someone explain why we have a vessel of unknown origin attached to my ship? He demanded. And why Consortium Command is demanding our immediate return with threats of severe sanctions. Captain, I can explain, Telex began, but was interrupted by the laboratory doors sliding open. The security detail raised their weapons as three figures entered, clearly humans, wearing what appeared to be hastily constructed environmental suits. They moved with a confidence that belied the strangeness of their situation. Greetings, said the central figure, removing her helmet to reveal a face with dark skin and keen eyes. I am Dr. Ileana Chen, representing Earth's United Scientific Coalition. These are my colleagues, Dr. Patel and Commander Rivera. The universal translator rendered her words perfectly, adding to the surreal nature of the encounter. You should not be here, Captain Jorax stated flatly. Your presence violates consortium security protocols of the highest order. Dr. Chen smiled. Yet here we are. Your researcher Mira was kind enough to establish contact and provide docking specifications. All eyes turned to Mira, who stood beside the humans with an expression of defiant pride. "The quarantine of Earth has gone on long enough," she declared. "I study human history for years. Yes, they respond aggressively to threats, but they're not the monsters our ancient records portray. Your actions constitute treason." Krell chittered angrily. "You've exposed the consortium to incalculable risk." "What risk?" Dr. Chen interjected. "We come seeking knowledge and alliance, not conquest. Our history with extraterrestrial contact has been unfortunate, largely because those encounters began with aggression or subterfuge." "How did you detect our probe?" Telix asked, scientific curiosity overriding protocol. "Its quantum displacement field should have been undetectable to your technology." Dr. Patel, a slender man with silver-streaked hair, stepped forward. "Nothing is truly undetectable. Your quantum field created minute gravitational distortions. Once we noticed the pattern, tracking it was simply a matter of computational power." "And the quantum link?" Vexer pressed. "How did you trace it back to our ship?" "Quantum entanglement leaves no conventional signature," Commander Rivera explained, "but it does create specific patterns in subspace that we've been monitoring for decades. Primitive methods compared to yours, I'm sure, but effective enough." Captain Jorax had heard enough. "You will return to your vessel immediately. The Consortium Security Council will determine how to proceed with this breach of protocol." "I'm afraid that's not possible," Dr. Chen replied calmly. "While we've been talking, 17 more Earth vessels have established positions around your ship. We don't wish for conflict, but we will not be dismissed or quarantined any longer." The captain's communication device chimed urgently. "Sir," came the voice of his first officer, "multiple vessels have surrounded us. They're using some form of technology that's interfering with our propulsion systems." "Impossible," the captain whispered, but the human's confident expressions suggested otherwise. "Not impossible," Dr. Chen corrected. "Just previously unachieved. We adapted the principles from your probe's quantum field generator. Crude by your standards, perhaps, but functional." "What do you want?" Telix asked, his crystalline form dimming with the gravity of the situation. "Knowledge, exchange, recognition," Dr. Chen listed. "For millennia, advanced civilizations have either attacked us or studied us like specimens. We've defended ourselves and learned from each encounter, but we've never had the opportunity for peaceful contact." "The consortium has quarantined Earth for good reason," Krell argued. "Your species adapts too quickly, advances too aggressively. We adapt to survive." Commander Rivera interrupted. "When faced with superior forces, we had no choice but to evolve our strategies and technologies rapidly. But that same adaptive capability can be directed toward peaceful cooperation." Before the conversation could continue, the ship's alert system blared again. On the main display, a massive consortium security vessel appeared, dropping out of faster-than-light travel. "The Vigilant Dawn," Captain Jorax identified. "A consortium dreadnought. This situation has escalated beyond our control." The communication system activated, and the stern visage of High Commander Zex appeared. "Captain Jorax, you are ordered to secure the human intruders and prepare for immediate extraction. The Security Council has declared a Level 1 emergency." Dr. Chen seemed remarkably unconcerned. "Your reinforcements change nothing. We came prepared for this possibility." As if on cue, the dreadnought's image on the display flickered. Dozens of smaller human vessels appeared around it, deploying what appeared to be the same technology that had disabled the Boundless Inquiry's propulsion systems. "How many ships did you bring?" Neri asked, her amorphous form quivering with shock. "All of them," Dr. Chen replied simply. "When Earth detected your probe, every nation contributed to our response. For the first time in our history, we are truly united." The laboratory fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity had not only detected their observation, they had mobilized a planetary response in mere days. "This is precisely why Earth was quarantined," Captain Jorax said grimly. "Your species is too unpredictable, too quick to militarize. You misunderstand, Dr. Patil interjected. This isn't militarization, it's insurance. We've been attacked too many times to approach first contact without precautions. The ship's communication system chimed again. This time, the face that appeared on the screen was human, an older woman with stern features and the bearing of authority. I am Secretary General Amara Okafor of the United Earth Government, she announced. I wish to speak directly with the representatives of your galactic consortium. High Commander Zex's image appeared alongside hers, mandibles clicking with barely contained fury. Your presence here violates the highest laws of the consortium. Return to your planet immediately, or face the consequences. Secretary General Okafor remained unperturbed. Commander, for thousands of years, your consortium has either attacked humanity or studied us from afar. Today, that changes. We are prepared to establish peaceful relations, or to defend ourselves, as we have always done. You cannot possibly stand against the full might of the consortium, Zex warned. Can't we? Okafor replied. Your own historical records should tell you otherwise. But we don't want conflict. We want recognition, partnership, a place in your galactic community. Telek stepped forward, addressing both leaders. If I may, there is a third option beyond conflict or immediate integration. All eyes turn to the archivist. Humanity has demonstrated capabilities that defy our understanding, Telek continued. Their rate of adaptation and technological advancement is unprecedented. But rather than fearing this, perhaps we should study it. Openly, collaboratively, with humanity as partners rather than subjects. A scientific exchange, Dr. Chen suggested, interest lighting her eyes. Precisely, Telek agreed. Limited contact, regulated by both parties. A chance for humans to learn about the galaxy, and for the consortium to understand humanity's unique evolutionary path. High Commander Zex's mandibles clicked rapidly as he considered the proposal. The Security Council will never agree to unrestricted contact. Then let it be restricted, Secretary General Okafor countered. But it must be reciprocal. Your scientists may visit Earth, and ours must be allowed to visit consortium worlds. After hours of tense negotiation, a preliminary agreement was reached. The humans would withdraw their vessels, and the consortium would establish a special diplomatic outpost at the edge of the Sol system. A limited scientific exchange would begin, carefully monitored by both parties. As Dr. Chen and her colleagues prepared to return to their ship, she approached Telek privately. Your records paint us as dangerous, she said quietly, and perhaps we are, when threatened. But there's something your archives missed. Our capacity for wonder, for curiosity, for friendship. Those drive us just as powerfully as our instinct for survival. Telek's crystalline form brightened slightly. Perhaps that's why I was so drawn to study your species, despite the warnings. We share that curiosity. Then let that be the foundation of what comes next, Dr. Chen suggested, extending her hand in the human gesture of friendship. 6 months later, Telek stood in the newly constructed consortium embassy on Luna, Earth's moon. Through the viewing portal, he could see the blue-green planet that had been classified as "Don't even think about it" for millennia. The Galactic Database entry for Earth was in the process of being updated. While the warning classification remained, humanity's potential for rapid advancement still concerned many in the consortium. A new notation had been added. Approach with caution and respect. This species adapts rapidly to both threats and opportunities. They make dangerous enemies but potentially invaluable allies. Initial diplomatic and scientific exchange has shown promising results. As Telek watched a human ship depart for the first official visit to the consortium's central worlds, he reflected on how quickly everything had changed. The humans had already contributed breakthroughs in quantum mechanics, medicine, and cultural exchange, their fresh perspective challenging centuries of consortium assumptions. The galaxy was forever altered by humanity's emergence onto the cosmic stage, and while many still feared the species that adapted too quickly, learned too readily, and never stopped pushing boundaries, Telex had come to understand a fundamental truth about humans. Their greatest strength wasn't their adaptability or their tenacity. It was their ability to transform adversaries into allies through sheer force of determination. The "don't even think about it" warning would remain in the Galactic Database. But now it carried a dual meaning, both a caution to those who might threaten humanity and a reminder to the consortium itself. Underestimate humans at your peril, but earn their friendship, and there are no limits to what might be achieved together.